it's like this reminder that, there's no one right way to live. There are all these different ways of life shaped by history, environment, and culture.
Yeah, it really opens your eyes to the diversity of the world and how much we can learn from each other.
Right. And that exposure to diversity, it fosters empathy, it fosters open-mindedness, and it allows us to break down stereotypes and see the world through this more compassionate lens.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important, especially in the world we live in today, where there's so much division.
Right. It reminds us of our common humanity.
That we're all more alike than we are different.
Yeah, and that we're all just trying to do our best and make our way in the world.
Exactly. And I think travel can really highlight that for us. All right, so we're diving into this fascinating article today called Travel to Transform Your Spirit, A Journey to Self-Discovery. And it's by Violet Spring, who is a holistic life coach. And she really presents travel in a very unique way. It's not just about taking a vacation.
Yeah.
It's really about using it as this tool for self-discovery and growth. But she really talks about those different levels, mind, body, and spirit,
Right.
and how travel can impact all of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just sitting on a beach somewhere.
Right, exactly.
It can be, but you can get a lot more out of it.
Absolutely. And one of the first things she talks about is that idea of pushing past our comfort zones. And, I'm curious from your perspective, have you ever found that when you're traveling, especially when you're in a new place, a foreign city, or just trying something you've never done before, that it kind of reveals these strengths that you didn't even know you had?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're put in these situations that you're not used to. And you really do have to dig deep and figure out how to navigate it. And, I think we often surprise ourselves with how resilient we can be and how adaptable we are when we're forced to.
Absolutely. And she talks about, travel kind of stripping away those everyday routines and responsibilities. Yeah. It gives us that space to kind of reflect on what really matters. And she asks some really thought-provoking questions in this article. Like, what do you truly want in life? What makes you happy? Have you ever found yourself on a trip really kind of contemplating those big questions?
Yeah, it's almost like you get away from the everyday noise and clutter, and you have the space to actually think about those things, which is a luxury, frankly, in our normal day-to-day lives.
Yeah, for sure. So she then kind of breaks down the holistic benefits of travel, starting with, the physical benefits, which some of them are obvious. You're moving around more, maybe you're walking, you're exploring, you're trying new things. That naturally leads to those feel-good endorphins and stress reduction. And even like the impact of just being in nature.
Yeah.
Right? Like she talks about how being in nature can positively impact our cortisol levels. And she has these beautiful descriptions in the article, the sound of waves crashing, the breathtaking mountain vistas, how those can have these calming effect on us.
Right. And she talks about how important it is to get that nature, like actually physically experience nature.
Yeah, not just see a picture of it.
Right.
But actually be immersed in it.
Exactly.
Which I think is so powerful. And she also, talks about like even the food, like the fact that you're trying local foods, or maybe you're engaging in activities like she talks about yoga or surfing, like things that you might not do every day, that can really have this kind of holistic effect.
It's interesting because it almost, I think, it kind of puts you in a different mindset when you're traveling, so you're more likely to try those things. And then hopefully you bring those habits back with you when you get home.
Yeah, because you're kind of breaking those routines, so you're more open to trying new things.
Yeah, exactly.
So now let's shift to the mind. She sees travel as this incredible opportunity for personal growth.
Right.
Like you're exposed to different cultures, different ways of life. I love how she talks about, visiting countries where material wealth might be less, but happiness is greater. And it really makes us rethink what we value and what's important to us.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Because, we can get very caught up in, the material world. But it's nice to be reminded that, happiness comes from a lot of different places.
Exactly. And it's different for everybody. And even the challenges that we encounter while we're traveling, right? Like getting lost or facing language barriers, like those might be frustrating in the moment. But ultimately, they're also forcing us to think on our feet, to be resourceful, and to kind of find solutions that maybe we didn't know we had in us.
Absolutely. You have to adapt.
Right. It's that adaptability.
It's a real test of your problem-solving skills.
For sure. And then there's the impact travel has on our spirit, which I think is so fascinating because she describes travel as a spiritual experience. And that can be true even for people who aren't religious.
Yeah.
It's like that awe-inspiring beauty of nature that we talked about, the richness of ancient civilizations, the kindness of strangers, like these encounters that we have, they can evoke this sense of reverence. this feeling of being connected to something larger than ourselves.
Right. It can be really powerful and humbling at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think about, have you ever had that experience of standing before like a magnificent landmark?
Yeah.
Whether it's like the Taj Mahal or, hiking to Machu Picchu or whatever it is,
Yeah.
It just brings out this sense of awe.
Oh, for sure.
And often that triggers feelings of gratitude as well, right? Like it can really shift our perspective and give us this renewed sense of purpose.
Definitely.
And I think that's so powerful. She also talks about, the importance of mindfulness during travel. Have you ever found that, just simply observing daily life in a new environment, how that can bring a sense of peace and clarity?
Yeah. I think it's because you're not caught up in your own thoughts and your own to-do list and all that kind of stuff.
Right, you're not on autopilot.
Yeah. So you're just kind of taking it all in and just noticing things that you wouldn't normally notice.
Yeah. It's like we're so used to just going through the motions, but when you're in a new place, you're more present, you're paying attention, and that can have a really profound effect on our mental state. Now let's talk about solo travel, because she really believes that it's one of the most empowering ways to embark on a journey of self-discovery. What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever traveled solo?
Yeah, actually I have. And it's definitely challenging at times, but I think it's incredibly empowering.
In what ways?
Well, because you're completely responsible for yourself, you have to make all the decisions, you have to figure everything out, and there's no one to rely on but yourself. So it really forces you to trust your instincts, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to really, discover what you're capable of.
And, and there's that freedom, right? Like the freedom to explore your own interests. Like if you want to spend, 5 hours in a museum, or you want to go on this, all-day hike,
You
you don't have to worry about anybody else. You can just do it.
Absolutely. You set your own schedule, you do what you want to do, and yeah, it's really liberating.
Yeah. And without those distractions too, you have so much time for reflection, right? Like you can really process emotions, reevaluate goals, get clear about your values, like things that, again, we just don't always have the time or the space for in our everyday lives.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for that. A lot of people come back from solo trips and say they feel like, they really know themselves so much better.
Yeah, can imagine. And that newfound confidence too, like it can spill over into other areas of life.
Right.
It can empower people to make bolder decisions to pursue their passions.
I think so, for sure. Because once you realize that you can handle yourself in a foreign country by yourself, you can handle pretty much anything.
You've kind of proven to yourself that you're more capable than you maybe thought you were. And that's such a valuable lesson to take away. Now, let's talk about broadening our perspectives. Like he talks about how travel can really help us see beyond our own limited experiences and challenge any preconceived notions or biases that we might have. And I love, she gives this great example of, experiencing the warmth and hospitality of a small village in Southeast Asia. And it's like this reminder that, there's no one right way to live. There are all these different ways of life shaped by history, environment, and culture.
Yeah, it really opens your eyes to the diversity of the world and how much we can learn from each other.
Right. And that exposure to diversity, it fosters empathy, it fosters open-mindedness, and it allows us to break down stereotypes and see the world through this more compassionate lens.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important, especially in the world we live in today, where there's so much division.
Right. It reminds us of our common humanity.
That we're all more alike than we are different.
Yeah, and that we're all just trying to do our best and make our way in the world.
Exactly. And I think travel can really highlight that for us.
Yeah.
She also discusses the impact of travel on our relationships, which I think is interesting. Because on one hand, it can strengthen bonds with those we travel with.
Right.
Because you're creating these shared memories or experiences, like you're navigating a foreign city together, you're trying new foods, you're maybe overcoming a missed flight or some other challenge, and it brings you closer, right? Like it builds that trust and that camaraderie.
Oh, absolutely. It's like going through a little adventure together.
Yeah. But then there's also the chance to forge new and meaningful connections with people from all walks of life. Think about chatting with a local artisan, or, bonding with fellow travelers at a hostel, or, participating in a community event. Like these interactions, they can really enrich our journey and expand our social circle in ways that we just might not expect.
Yeah, it's amazing how travel can bring people together.
And I think, meeting people from different backgrounds, it inspires us, it challenges our assumptions. Sometimes it leads to, lifelong friendships. So it's really about embracing that richness of human connection. And she also emphasizes the power of travel to boost happiness and relieve stress. And I think this is something that we all intuitively know, right? It's like hitting the reset button on our mental and emotional state. Like by stepping into a new environment, by embracing unfamiliar experiences, we're kind of creating space for joy and curiosity to flourish.
It's like taking a break from your everyday life.
Absolutely. And think about, even just the simple act of exploring a local market or trying a new dish or watching the world go by at a, outdoor cafe. Like it just pulls us away from those daily stressors and helps us connect with ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, and it's those little moments, those little experiences that can really add up and make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes we forget that it's those small things that can really bring us the most joy. And she also talks about how travel has this magical way of pulling us into the present moment, engaging all of our senses. Think about the aromas of street food, their vibrant colors of a bustling market, the sounds of a foreign language, like all of these sensory experiences.
It's like a feast for the senses.
It is. And it demands our attention.
Yeah.
It draws us away from our worries and anxieties because we're so focused on what's happening right in front of us.
And I think that's why travel can be so relaxing for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a reminder that life's simplest pleasures, like watching a sunset or sharing a laugh with a stranger, like those are the things that really matter.
Yeah, and travel can help us appreciate those things more.
It teaches us to slow down, to breathe deeply, to appreciate that present moment.
Absolutely. Now, last but not least, let's talk about how travel can spark creativity. And I think this is something that's often overlooked, but it's so important because when we step outside of our everyday routines, it opens our minds to new possibilities and it makes us more receptive to inspiration.
And she gives some good examples in the article. Think about exploring the architecture and music of an ancient city or, witnessing a traditional ceremony in a remote village. Like those experiences.
They're exposed to so much new stuff.
Exactly. It awakens our senses, it ignites our imagination, and it can lead to new ideas and fresh perspectives.
Absolutely. It's like a jolt to your creative system.
It is. And, travel challenges us to think outside the box and to find creative solutions. And those skills, they don't just disappear when we come home. They stay with us and they can really enrich our lives in so many ways.
That's a good point.
So as we kind of wrap up this first part of our dive into Violet Spring's perspective on travel, as this journey to self-discovery, what are some of the key takeaways? Like, what have we learned so far?
Well, I think the main thing is that travel is so much more than just sightseeing. It's really about personal growth. It's about stepping outside our comfort zones, embracing new experiences, and opening our minds to different ways of seeing and being in the world.
And I love how she emphasizes that it can transform us on so many levels.
Right. Physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Exactly. And those benefits, they extend far beyond the trip itself. They shape our perspectives, they enrich our lives long after we return home. So, whether you're an avid traveler or you're just starting to explore the world, I think there's so much wisdom in her perspective.
I agree. And I think it's something that we can all benefit from no matter where we are in our lives.
Absolutely.
So she also has some really great advice for people who are thinking about, embarking on this kind of journey of self-discovery through travel. And one of the things she talks about is really choosing a destination that inspires you.
Right.
Something that speaks to your soul, something that aligns with maybe your interests and your goals.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think, the right destination, it can really set the stage for an incredible experience,
Right.
whether it's, a serene beach or a vibrant city or even like a remote mountain village. Just the energy of the place can have such a big impact on how you experience the trip.
And she also reminds us to be open to the unknown, and be willing to try new things even if they feel a little bit uncomfortable at first.
Right.
Hey everyone! Before we dive deeper into today's topic, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about my book, The Essential Guide to Supplements. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the world of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and more, this book is here to help. It's packed with easy-to-understand information to help you make informed decisions about supplements for your health needs. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, support your immune system, or just feel your best, this guide breaks it all down in a way that's practical and actionable. You'll learn what each supplement does, how to take it, and even how to combine supplements for the best results. Plus, it covers important safety tips, like potential side effects and interactions, so you can feel confident about what you're putting into your body. If you're ready to take control of your health and make smarter choices about supplements, the Essential Guide to Supplements is available now on Amazon. I've included the link in the description below. Check it out and start your journey to better health today.
So whether it's trying new foods or meeting new people or, exploring unfamiliar territories, those are the moments where unexpected growth and discovery often happen.
Yeah, it's all about pushing those boundaries a little bit.
Right.
And being open to the adventure. And she also has this really interesting suggestion. I think it's relevant for all of us in this day and age. She talks about the idea of disconnecting to reconnect.
Right.
What do you think she means by that?
Well, I think she's talking about limiting our use of technology and social media while we're traveling. It's so easy to get caught up in documenting our experiences or staying connected online that we actually forget to be present in the moment.
Right. It's like we're so busy trying to capture the perfect photo for Instagram that we're not actually experiencing the place with all of our senses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we're living through the lens of our phone instead of really being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she's encouraging us to, put down the phone, step away from the screens, and really immerse ourselves in the environment and the people around us.
It's about being present and mindful.
Exactly. And she also suggests keeping a travel journal, to document our experiences and our thoughts and our feelings. Have you ever kept a travel journal?
I have, and I found it to be a really powerful way to process the journey and to track my own personal growth, and also just to capture those memories that might otherwise, fade over time.
Right, because I think it's so easy to come back from a trip and have it all kind of blend together.
Yeah.
But if you have those written words, it really helps to bring those memories back to life.
And you can go back and read them years later, and it's like you're reliving the experience.
Yeah, it's like creating this tangible record of our transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she also talks about practicing mindfulness during our travels, which is something we touched on earlier, but I think it's worth reiterating.
Right.
What are some ways that we can, be more mindful while we're traveling?
Well, I think it starts with slowing down, and really savoring each moment.
Yeah.
So whether it's enjoying a delicious meal, or taking in a breathtaking view, or even just observing daily life in a new place. Mindfulness allows us to really connect with our experiences on a deeper level.
It's about being present in the moment, right? And appreciating the beauty and the wonder that surrounds us.
Exactly.
Instead of rushing from one site to the next or constantly checking our phones, we can actually pause and absorb the experience.
And even just taking a few deep breaths, throughout the day can make a big difference.
Yeah, just to kind of ground ourselves and come back to that present moment.
Mm-hmm.
She also stresses the importance of reflection, both during and after our travels.
Yeah.
Taking a few minutes each day to think about what we've learned, how we've grown, and how we can apply those experiences to our lives back home.
It's about making those lessons and insights last.
Right, because otherwise it's so easy to just slip back into our old routines and forget all the amazing things that we've experienced.
Yeah, it's like the trip was just this little bubble and then we pop it and we're back to reality.
Exactly. But if we take the time to reflect, we can actually integrate those experiences into our daily lives and let them continue to shape us.
Yeah, make it more than just a vacation.
Right, exactly.
It's about personal growth.
So I think that's a really powerful point. And she also emphasizes, the long-term impact that travel can have on our personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
She believes that those insights and skills that we gain on the road, they can really have a lasting effect on our lives.
Yeah, think about the confidence that comes from navigating a foreign country, or the empathy that we develop from interacting with diverse cultures, or the sense of wonder that we experience from exploring new horizons.
Right, it's like we're expanding our worldview.
Exactly, and all of those things stay with us and empower us to live our lives more fully.
It makes us appreciate what we have and approach the world with a more open and curious mind.
Absolutely.
So she concludes the article with this really powerful statement about travel as a path to holistic growth.
Yeah.
She reiterates that it's more than just sightseeing. It's a journey of self-discovery that can transform us on every level.
It's about mind, body, and spirit.
Exactly. By stepping outside our comfort zones, embracing new experiences, and reflecting on our journey, we can gain valuable insights and grow in ways that we never imagined.
Whether we're exploring a distant country or a place closer to home travel, has the potential to be a truly transformative experience.
It's about packing our bags, opening our hearts to new experiences, and embarking on an adventure.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Violet Spring's perspective on travel as a catalyst for self-discovery, I think she leaves us with a really important question, one that each of us can contemplate. What place is always called to you?
Yeah, it's an invitation to think about those destinations that spark our curiosity and ignite a sense of adventure within us.
What might we discover about ourselves by exploring those places?
It's a reminder that the journey of self-discovery is ongoing. It doesn't end when we return home from a trip.
Right.
It continues as we integrate those experiences and insights into our everyday lives.
It's about embracing the unknown, pushing our boundaries, and opening ourselves up to the transformative power of new experiences.
And connecting with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting how she frames that question, because it really encourages us to think about what we're seeking, both from travel and from ourselves.
It's not just about, checking things off a bucket list. It's about intentionally choosing experiences that align with our values and aspirations.
Exactly. And those aspirations can evolve as we do, right? Like maybe what called to us 5 years ago is different from what calls to us now. Have you noticed that in your own travel experiences?
Oh, absolutely. As we grow and change, so do our travel desires. Sometimes it's about seeking adventure and pushing limits and exploring the unknown, and other times it might be about finding peace and tranquility, immersing ourselves in nature or connecting with a different culture on a deeper level.
It's like travel can be a mirror reflecting back to us where we are in our lives and what we're yearning for.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
The journey is unique to each individual.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's feeling that pull to explore, to discover, to transform, what advice would you give them based on what we've discussed today?
I would say trust that inner voice. Don't let fear or self-doubt hold you back. Embrace the unknown, be open to new experiences, and allow yourself to be transformed by the journey.
Beautifully said. And remember, travel doesn't have to be this grand, expensive endeavor. It can be as simple as exploring a nearby town you've never visited, or taking a solo hike in nature.
The key is to approach it with intention, with a willingness to learn and grow, and as Violet Spring reminds us, to see travel as a path to self-discovery, a way to connect with ourselves and the world around us in a more meaningful way.
So whether you're planning your next big adventure or simply daydreaming about far-off lands, let this deep dive inspire you to embark on your own journey of transformation. Who knows what awaits you just beyond the horizon?
The possibilities are endless.
They are indeed.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive inspiring and informative. As always, we encourage you to continue exploring these ideas and to share your thoughts with us on social media.
We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep traveling to transform your spirit.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, leave a comment below, and be sure to subscribe and help us build this awesome holistic heroes tribe. And while you're waiting for new episodes, check out my other videos from these playlists.